Ancient Chinese people believed that mankind was created by a snake-shaped mother goddess. When the water god was defeated by the fire god, he angrily smashed his head against the pillar that held up the sky. The sky tilted, the water flooded, and the whole world was on the edge of destruction. And then there was Nuwa, a goddess with the face of a beautiful woman and the body of a giant snake. Rebuilt the broken pillar with a leg of a divine turtle and patched the holes in heaven with 5 colored stones. On the earth she saved, Nuwa began to shape the yellow mud into figures with faces, arms, hands, and legs. Those figures came to life right after leaving their creator's hand. The Great Mother finally lay down to sleep after she finished all her work and never woke up again. But the humans she created lived on. They grew up, reproduced, and thrived in every corner of the planet. And of course, the image of snakes, good or evil, loved or hated, has been involved with cultures all over the world since the dawn of human history. And now, on the first day of the Year of the Snake, would you be free to sit down, have a cup of tea, and hear my stories about snakes? There was a well-known snake charmer who raised a green female snake, which he named Big Green or simply Big G. The snake was very tame, and she was able to freely sway per her owner's commands. One night, the snake charmer stopped by a mountain temple, and when he woke up in the morning, Big G was nowhere to be found. The snake charmer desperately searched every inch of the forest, and to his surprise, he saw Big G coming back to him, accompanied by another smaller green snake. The man offered food to them, and the small snake was even more timid than Big G. Big G fed her small companion with her mouth, like a host treating their guest. The snake charmer liked the small snake immediately. He named her Little G and brought both snakes back with him. A few years went by quietly, and the Big G became too large now for the man to handle. So he reluctantly made the decision to release her into the wilderness. He went to the forest where he met her many years ago, fed her one last time, and opened the cage without saying a word. Big G refused to leave. She attached her head to the cage, apparently begging her owner to let her stay. The snake charmer was moved.
Please don't act like this, my dear friend. One day you will become a mighty dragon, I know it. It'd be a crime if I caged you forever.
Big G was finally gone, and time flew so fast. The snake charmer grew old, and the Little G was now as large as Big G once was. After the man retired, he brought Little G with him on a trip, and occasionally stopped by the forest where he released Big G. Suddenly, a weird storm rose, and a giant serpent appeared from the rocks. Passers-by were all frightened and fled, but the snake charmer stood still.
Big G, long time no see.
He spoke calmly. The snake lowered her head and wrapped herself around the man's body, like she did with him countless times in the past.
Please spare my old bones, my friend. You have grown much heavier now.
The snake charmer opened the cage.
My little girl, you too are too large to live in this small cage. Now your best friend is here to pick you up. Go with her, and I wish both of you a bright future.
Big G and Little G crawled together, with their bodies entwined, and bade farewell reluctantly to their former owner. The snake charmer burst into tears. He stood there for a long time, watching his 2 lifelong friends disappearing in the ooze. Long ago, in Ki, a southern province of Japan, there was a manor belonging to a rich local family. Kyo, the young daughter of the family, was splendidly happy these days because she knew that the ancient has just come back to her home. Ancient was a young monk who went on a long walking pilgrimage every year to visit the shrine in Ki. Last year he passed through. He lodged for one night at Kyo's home. And that was where the story began. A spoiled, beautiful girl came across a handsome monk. They met, they talked, and gradually, chemistry was growing between the two young people. But Anshin soon realized his mistake. He had sworn to devote his entire life to the Buddha's teachings. His rationality didn't allow him to go further. He left the manor earlier, without saying goodbye to Kyo, and continued on to his destination. On his way back, he deliberately chose a different route to avoid Kyo. But Kyo didn't know anything about it. She only remembered what Anshin said to her when they hugged each other.
I'll come back next year.
As he said, he returned, Kyo thought. But she soon realized that something went wrong. From the day Anshin moved in till the day he departed, he always refused to meet her or talk to her. On the last day, her family sent Anshin off. She gathered the courage to ask him why, and he told her the reason. The girl burst into tears and asked the man she loved one last question.
If you were not a monk, would you marry me?
Anshin didn't utter a syllable, or he simply didn't have the courage to say anything. But the girl persistently wanted an answer. She ran after him, with her arms and feet injured by thorns on the way. Finally, he reached the river that the Anshin had just crossed in the boat. Her sadness turned into furious rage, which transformed her into a fearsome snake. She dove in. Anshin escaped into the dojo temple. Knowing Kyo wouldn't let him go, he pleaded with the monks to hide him under the giant bell. Driven by her wrath, the giant serpent smelled Anshin inside. She wrapped herself around the bell and engulfed the whole thing in flames, burning both herself and her unquiet love. After listening to these two stories, what is your impression of snakes now? Tame, grateful, loyal, or scary, possessive, even paranoid? Well, scientific research showed that ophidiophobia, or fear of snakes, was rooted in evolution, and almost all primates have innate negative reactions to snakes. This kind of intuition allows him to detect such threats immediately, and an important ability to guarantee their survival. But on the other hand, when humans fear something, they will also worship it. The worship of the snake deities is nearly universal in all ancient cultures. It is reasonable to believe that both Eastern and Western dragons were all inspired by snakes. Okay, hope you liked the stories about snakes I told today. Happy Lunar New Year to you all! May all your wishes come true in the year of the snake.